Well, it's crossover time. Yay.
Believe it?
I
I
know. It's been
know,
a long five
crazy.
years. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it's funny because every time we talk, it's like, is there gonna, there's a question of, will we be doing a crossover? And so it's so fun to finally be doing it and getting to talk about one with you guys.
Right, right. So yeah,
Yeah.
so this is the first one in 5 years. So what's it
Yeah.
like finally getting back in the saddle and doing another one?
It was fantastic. This one is really unique in a lot of ways. I think to my mind definitely our biggest yet, and it's the most kind of interconnected. Like it doesn't have like a fire hour, a med hour, and a PD hour in the way that some of them have in the past. This one is just totally integrated. They're all totally integrated from the jump. So it was really fun working so closely with our med writers and our PD writers and the cast getting to work together and spend that much time together. This one was a real treat, and I think it will be for the audience too. It's really a dynamic episode or
Nice.
movie, really.
That's awesome.
Why do
So
you,
we'll go ahead,
sorry,
Gina.
why do you think it took 5 years for another one?
There were so many odd circumstances. It was like COVID was one year, the strike was another. It takes a lot of planning. It's not something you can do in a shortened season, or when there's episodes off. So they started writing months before they started shooting. So it's really it's a long-term project, and you just can't squeeze it in. It has to be, 22 episode season to get it done.
Yeah. So given that it's been such a long time since the last one and how beloved the last one is by fans, was there any, I don't know if pressure is the right word, to make this one even like
Oh
bigger
yeah.
and better than the last one?
Always, definitely. And it's, you always want to kind of top it or surprise people, come at them with new stuff, new dynamics. And I think this one is particularly emotional. There's a lot of relationship stuff in it across all the shows. So with characters, from that combine in couples from like Mouch and Trudy. It's like two different shows, but they're, that's a couple that we audience knows and loves. And they go through a lot in this episode, as do Severide and Kid and Ruzek and Burgess.
Nice. Who came up with the idea for this crossover?
It's a brain trust, but there were the three writers with Victor, Joe, and Steven got in the room, and it was literally what you said, which is like, how do we top, ourselves? How do we not repeat anything? We've done all these different things, and this one is so big. It's got so many things going on. You've got a building that's about to collapse. You've got a tunnel collapse with the subway inside. You've got a fire geyser shooting out of the street from a gas explosion, and then you have this um, basically a murder mystery going on throughout, and a lot of mysterious circumstances happening around it. So there's investigative stuff. It's got like five movies in one, basically. So yeah, it was Victor, Joe, and Steven who really started saying, how do we do this, and how many cool character twists can we throw in here and build to yeah, as we go throughout the season, so we can build to it as opposed to just do a standalone.
Yeah. So in terms of like the process for fleshing out the idea and turning it into like what we see on screen, I know you said it started with the three of them, but like when do you and Alan and Gwen come in, or like how does that all
From the
work? And like do
beginning,
you take
from
it
the
back
beginning.
with like the themes and then you take it back to your writer's room? Like how does that all work?
Yes, it's very it's all connected. We're in there all the time. They're pitching ideas. Ideas come up there. It's fun because Med is the building right next door, and they're literally running back and forth between buildings, and PD is a little bit further down the lot, and just jumping in golf carts and heading out to regroup and talk about twists and turns, and then yeah, we'll throw our wrenches in, the showrunners, and all get on the phone. We started a text chain, Gwen, Alan, and I, right at the beginning of the process, so that we could be in close touch all the time, and it was a lot of fun in terms of the process of it, even though it takes a lot of time, and it's sort of all consuming. It's like a vacuum where every other episode's somehow getting sucked into it at the same time. But yeah, it's fun because you get to hang out with your friends from the other school.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. So coming off of this week's episode, we're still in an interesting spot with Chief Pascal where we're trying to get a read on him. We're trying to understand him. What's in store for him in this crossover?
This is a real showcase, I think, for Pascal, and it's his first like real. It's a test. It's a whole city incident. The command center on this one is huge, and so it's seeing him kind of in peak boss mode, and then but also having to go up against and work with and battle with the big boss of, Voight and the big boss of Archer from Med. And so it's getting to see him form these relationships with people that the audience knows, but that he hasn't really worked with before as a chief or as an actor.
Yeah. So kind of going off of that, are we going to see like the ongoing storylines that have kind of been going the last couple episodes play out in the crossover? Or is it still pretty much like the contained event story is the
No,
crossover?
this one's that's what I meant in a way of like we can build to the stories this year, because we knew from the jump we were going to do one of these. We always knew it's tricky in time because you're writing it ahead of, in fact, and we shot them at different times too. So it's tricky, but we definitely incorporated stories that have come before, and we were setting up things that are coming later. There's a lot about Herman leadership in there that we've been exploring. There's the family dynamic or the relationship dynamic that we've been building with Severide and Kid is very much a part of it. They had just said like, let's never be apart again, basically, let's no more you traveling or me traveling, like we'll stay together forever. And then all of a sudden there's literally a wall of concrete between them that they can't get to each other. They're ripped apart. So yeah, it's all connected. It isn't a standalone one in the way some of the other ones have been.
Nice. And one of the best parts of the crossovers is seeing the different pairings that come about. Are there any pairings that you were really looking forward to, or any that kind of took you by surprise?
One of them is just the Pascal dynamic with Voight and with Archer, but I don't think I can't think of like more than maybe a moment of Ruzek and Kid together, and seeing those two trapped in the train together. Again, very different personalities, but both, bosses, essentially. We got our lieutenant. She's not going to take orders from anybody. So it was fun to see those two together. They're both of them have a significant other out on the outside. It's Burgess and Severide. So it's very emotional stuff they're playing at the same time that there's danger lurking in the air and they're trying to save civilians. And so those two together was a lot of fun. They have a lot of stuff to play together, and that dynamic was great to see them sort of forming this bond over the course of the movie.
What goes
Great.
into deciding like how to pair, like say Ruzek and Stella together? Is it just like, oh, well, we've never seen that before, so we think that may be fun to try, and why not in the crossover? Or like, what goes into making that decision?
Yeah, it's really character based in terms of like where are they right now emotionally, and like what would be the most kind of interesting dynamic that we've set up on our various shows to bring together. And Mount and Trudy is an easy one because they're a married couple and it's two different shows. But a lot of times it's about like where's this character at and what's the other character going through right now that this can reflect on each other in some way. So that was definitely part of the Ruzek Kid pairing, is like they're both in these challenging relationships and talking about family and having a family and what that does to the relationship.
Great. I think that's all we've got, unless there was
Yeah, I
anything
think we're
else,
about out
Glenna.
of time anyway, but yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you, Andrea.
Well,
We really appreciate it.
yeah, it's always great to talk to you guys, and yeah, I'm very excited for you guys to check it out. I'm very curious what you think, and yeah, you guys are always the show so well, so it's really fun. I'm you gotta let me know. You send me an email when you see it, what you think.
We
We
will.
will. We
Okay,
will.
Awesome.
awesome.
Thanks, Andrea.
Thank you,
So
Andrea.
good to talk to you.